I'll take that for some good news. I've been needing to find a break on this with respect to that. And if that's what's causing the ignition problems, then so be it. Hold the press. As soon as I made the turn, it completely died. That's it, I'm out. All right, hey Fearless Mods fans, what is up? It's Biff, and we're back to work, finally, in the garage in Illinois. We're still here, enduring the lockdown, as is everybody else across YouTube land, but it's time to do a little bit of work on the Trans Am. There has not been a whole lot of activity on the channel lately, but I have been getting a lot of comments on this car and the problem that I've been having with the miss at low RPMs. So I've got a bunch of different things that I can jump into on this. Plug wires, I got a fuel regulator, totally unrelated, the low coolant sensor. I've got a fuel filter. So there's a lot of different things we can do, but we're gonna jump into it one at a time. My goal in this video is to first just tackle putting new plug wires on it and seeing if that helps out at all. Getting it over here to the garage was a chore. It was trying to die the whole way. There were multiple times, it actually did die a few times. It was running really rough and then it would kick back in. So there is something that's going on that's getting worse, and we're gonna start tackling them one thing at a time and see if we can get after this ignition. Plug wires right now. Stay tuned, we'll get right with it. All right, so first off, this is not gonna be very easy. As you know, we replaced the OptiSpark distributor. A lot of comments on OEM versus non-OEM and the fact that the original OEMs aren't available. So everything essentially is an aftermarket. There are comments about varying quality on those. So that is what it is. It has been replaced, as with all the different sensors we did last time for air temperature and different things like that. So first thing I'm going to do, it's still a little warm, but it actually kind of feels good right now. So I think I'm going to have to pull off the air intake here, so I can kind of start working my way down to the OptiSpark. And then it's going to be a matter of trying to get in here and fishing these plug wires out, matching up the sizes here with my AC Delco OEM style plug wires to get them all back into place. I'm going to try to get you in here to see this. Those of you who have the LT1 F-body Trans Am or Camaro know how hard this is to get in here. You got the water pump right here in front of the engine that is gear drive straight in from the back, but you also have the OptiSpark kind of below and behind it, above the balancer, and it's going to be really hard to get in there. But if you look down here, you can see that plug wires taped and numbered from when we had them off before, so they're back in there behind everything. You can see that that's really tucked in down there. Those are the right bank ones. The left bank ones will be down in here as well, down in there. Kind of hard to get to, but we'll see what we can do by fishing around down in there. Of course, this bank is a little easier for getting the plug wires out of. This one's a little more challenging with the alternator there. Some of them can be, and just getting your hands in around through some of those gaps can sometimes be a challenge. But I'm going to go ahead and start one by one. We'll start on the easy side over here on the left bank and see if it's possible to get down in there and kind of pull them off of the spark plug first and work our way up to the OptiSpark and pull the wire off, compare it, and replace them one at a time. 1, 3, 5, and 7 on that side. So we'll get going on those wires. As we pull the wires off, you are going to see down in there that there are some clips on that have the wires bundled. I've got this first wire off of the plug, so that should be off the number 1, and then you get down in here and I got to get it through this. Got to get it through that clip there. Okay, first wire, just a little bit of plastic wrap on there to keep it from touching up against anything hot. So let's see what we got here. Total OEM style. That one's looking pretty good right there. Go ahead and get this on. I may decide to leave this one and work my way from the bottom up, just because it'll be easier to get down in there with less things in my way as I'm fishing further down. So before I put this one in, even though I found the replacement, I'm going to go for that bottom one. And some more clips. Another clip here I'll pull off. And more shrink wrap that it goes around, not shrink wrap, but more of this flex tubing to help protect it. All right, bottom wire is off. It turns out on this one, there is a the steering linkage that comes down through there. Kind of really makes it hard to get your hand back into that very back one. And you also got the, I've got the stock exhaust manifolds on there, and where that exhaust manifold comes down, this is snaking around behind the number 3 and number 5 plug boots that go in at an angle like this. It's snaking behind them, and it's getting to that part where it goes behind the exhaust manifold to get to that number 7, and that's a little bit hard to get to. I'm going to get a mirror in there and kind of check around and see if there's a piece, it feels like there's a piece of metal over to give it some additional heat shielding from the exhaust, so I just need to see where it's connected. So I'm going to get the mirror and take a look. Another thing I'm pulling off of here is a lot of these boots have like a little protector over the end. Goes over them like this to, and they kind of snap in like so. And it just kind of gives them some heat protection while they're making the bend. That's another reason I went with OEM, so that I have the OEM bend and I can still use these things to give them that heat protection. Going to lift the car and see if it's a little easier to get to that, some of those from underneath. That will likely be the case on several of these, especially on the other side. Right here there's this metal shield, my finger's touching, and that runs along the length there. There's a 10mm bolt right here underneath there, right in front of that light. And it is holding the, at least that one plug wire that goes all the way back is being held in there. So I'm going to go ahead and take that out. Amazingly enough, it's not seized up. Or I didn't get it. Yeah, it's loose. Hopefully that's the only bolt on there. It's not. There's another. Oh, I see the other one. This one's gonna be harder to get to. Oh boy. I got that one broke loose too. That is a long piece. I'm gonna undo this clip here so that this other wire is not hanging onto it, and then maybe I can pull that bracket out. It's definitely letting it come more forward. Got another clip on there, I'll pull it off. Here's the wire and its contraption here that goes in there and attaches. The purist in me will keep it, but you can see how it fishes through there and it keeps it away from everything hot, tucks it away. And I just had to get some of those other clips off of here and get them undone so that they wouldn't hold the other wires. So anyway, we'll go ahead and put a new wire on this one and fish it back up in there. Again, I think my plan to do these one at a time might be changing, because instead what I might do is go ahead and, while I'm under here, I can get to the number 3 and number 5. I might just go ahead and replace those first before I fish this back in and block the room back here by the manifold. Okay, so I went ahead and pulled off the number 3 here. Now we'll go ahead and get the number 5. And here's number 5. It's got another one of these caps on it, and clip, and some more of the shrink hosing there. All right, let's go back topside and prepare these wires. Okay, so we have our number 1 sitting here. I found the number 3, stuck it on there and transferred the flex tube on it. It's just slightly longer. Number 5 here, found that wire, transferred the clip over to it, and it gets the flex tubing on there as well, just for some added protection. And it also has this cap, which I'll just leave here right now. I won't put it on until I know that I've got this properly seated on the spark plug, and then I'll feed this on and snap in the boot into it securely. And then our big contraption here, it goes like this. I will mention I have not replaced these plug wires since about 12,000 miles ago when I did the heads. Made it a lot easier to get to all of this. So this is going to be one of the longest wires we have. So there we go, and then these 3 wires up front here, from here to here, all get bundled into this larger piece right here. So now we'll go ahead and get under there and put it all back together. We'll go in with 3 and 5 first, just like we said. So here's number 5 in my hand. Number 5 is on. Go ahead and put our cap on it. Slide it straight down over it. Make sure the boot sets down in it. So there we go. And then I'm going to put number 3 on. So you should be able to see right there 1, 7, 3, and 5 written on it. Going from bottom up. That's on there. 5, here comes 3. 3 and 5 completely installed. Now I'm going to go ahead and feed in this number 7 contraption. It went behind all these other ones, so I'm going to try to do that as well. So it is through. And before I put the bracket in place, I'm going to go ahead and fasten the plug on and put the cover and throw it on. Much easier to do from down here than up above, for sure. Fish this bracket up onto its bolts. There we go. That's how I was on it. Now we just start fishing the lines back up here, plugging them into the distributor and getting all of the different little keepers all in place to keep it all nice and tidy. Good to go down here. Let's go back up top. Clearly much easier even to do underneath than it is to do from up above. So got that side done. Next is going to be that side, but that took a little bit longer than I expected it to, so I've got to go ahead and wrap it up for today, but I'll catch you again tomorrow. Alright guys, it's the next day, and so it's time to get back at the Trans Am. I'm just going to go straight to the bottom of it to start with, so I'm going to jack it up and get under there and see what we can get to for the 2, 4, 6, and 8 plug wires. Alright, this one's going to be a little bit tougher. Got all these pulleys and things under here, but you can see up there with the blue tape, that's the OptiSpark here coming out, working its way over here to these wires. So I'll be able to get to all 4 of those right there, no problem. But then they wrap up around underneath that alternator and over the top of the air conditioning compressor. Really, the only thing I'm going to be able to do under here is pull off the wires from the OptiSpark. That's what I was able to do, is just pull off the 4 wires off of the OptiSpark and just undo one of these clips where they wrap around, because the 4 wires, as they come around, they have a couple of clips that keep them tucked tightly and all side by side. Clearly, when you're doing a lot of work over a long period of time on these things, you can kind of lose track. I do remember trying to mess with the O2 sensors at one point, and I just did notice something that could have contributed to some of the problem. Definitely contributed to how rough it ran getting it over here to the apartment yesterday. But that is right here. You can see the O2 sensors unplugged. Obviously that's not good, and I don't think it's the entire root of our problem. It's part of the problem yesterday that made it so much worse than normal. But we're still going to go ahead and I'll put that together, and we'll still go ahead and keep replacing these plug wires. Looks like they're going to be much easier to get to from the top here. We can then go ahead and keep troubleshooting down towards what that lower level engine miss has been. Again, as always with this car, fingers crossed. All 4 of the plugs off back here. I had one boot protector on the very last one on cylinder 8. 6 and 4 had none, and 2 is tucked up in there, is the hardest one to get to because it's up behind the air conditioner compressor and stuff. So I got that one. That's the top of the clip down there that I have to undo, that holds the 4 wires as they come around the right side of the block, and then they work their way around and go through those channels right there. And then there is that clip that has that holds the 4 of them all together right before they then go into the OptiSpark. Some good news and some bad news. So starting with the bad news is, to get these out, I'm going to have to go ahead and pull the at least get the alternator off, which means take off the serpentine belt. I may even have to get that power steering pump back there off, because that line, that silver line that's coming down right in there, is pretty much, there's no room between it and the guides that those wires tuck into that I was telling you about, to pull the wires out with the boot and stuff on them. So I got to create some space, which probably means at least taking off the alternator and loosening up the power steering pump so that I can make some room there. The good news is I actually did find something that I think is causing my problem, and that is this number 8 wire. If you look at that thing, it is torn up, and I don't know why. That's not the only one I see that on. If you look up here, look at this wire, like almost like burning. That one looks more suspect to me, because I can actually see burning that has been happening there, but that one is definitely toast as well, and that is on the number 4. Certainly cause for it to be acting the way it has been acting. So the first thing I did was I got down there with a 1/2 inch or a 13 millimeter and a breakover bar, and released the tensioner on the belt so I could pull the serpentine belt off. Then I took off the alternator, had the 1 bolt in the front and back on the top. I had the one that came through all the way through here with the nut on the back of it, and I had the 1 bolt back here. Unplugged this 1 wire, and then I've just got it set over here. Mine still has a good boot on the back here to protect it, so I have not disconnected it yet. What that does is that reveals the power steering pump somewhat. Now you got these bolts here that connect the pump all the way to this bracket, and there's probably about 3 of them, 2 or 3 of them, and you got to rotate this around so that you can line up the holes on the inner edge here. That will allow you to run get a socket through here. The power steering pump is released and moved away, and so now it's giving me some room to mess with the wires here, so let's see what we can do. And the last 3. Yeah, so looking at these wires closer, you can definitely see this one was charring pretty bad. In fact, you can see, you know, it might have been up against something hot, because this little star clip here for the 3 wires is kind of melted there, like it's up against something hot, which means that would have been up against something hot, and it could have, you know, weakened that. It's pretty brittle, it just crumbled off, but you can see the arcing from there really was affecting everything around it too. This other one You know, I don't see a whole lot of evidence of arcing out of that. That could be something fresh, but still, these wires should be a little more durable than that. Between that and the O2 sensor being unplugged, hopefully that'll take care of the problem that we've been having. Okay, we know which order these have to go back in, and so now it's just a matter of trying to feed everything back in through there and hooking it all back up. Wow, that's difficult, but the wires are all in. They're all in, they're all on, they're in order, they're plugged in. The O2 sensor's plugged back in. So now what I gotta do is just work to get that power steering pump back installed, those 2 bolts, get the alternator back on, put the air intake hosing back on, and then we will be ready to go give it a test drive. Got that last clip in there. The serpentine belt is on. Alternator is on and attached. So is the power steering pump. All of those are in. The one last one we have to do here is essentially the coil wire. So I'll go ahead and put it in. It's easier to get to from the top here. Air intake is all buttoned back up. There's one spot inside here that is always a pain in the butt, and that's the bottom part of this factory air tube. It tends to want to fold up under on that bottom lip when you shove it down on there. That's why I'm getting in there with that thin little flashlight and pulling back the top, and had to take some of this apart and slip it in there, and then check it one more time to make sure that it's actually around the outside of that, so that when I clamp it down, it's not like letting any air gaps. What that would do is that would bypass the MAF, and then you would get an erroneous signal there for the amount of airflow you think you're getting, but you're actually getting more through here, and could kind of lean you out a little bit. It seems to have absolutely been, that's number 4, and it is, I mean, it's freaking toasted. So without a doubt, that cylinder was probably completely dropped. That's almost in half. One thing I did do is, the way those were routed before, there's a tube here that comes off of the exhaust pipe. Probably has to do with some emission stuff, but it comes across, and then it has like a stainless steel tube that goes down under the engine, under the front, and then back up. There are some rubber hoses on them, so you would think they wouldn't get too hot, but maybe they still do, and that wire being draped across that might have been causing some issues. I avoided that this time. Seems to be running pretty good. Had a little bit of just a little bit of slight hesitation or miss a little bit as I was accelerating on some of those initially. It could have been because those plugs over there might have been so fouled out from the O2 sensor, could have been part of it, but also just that plug not firing for however long, or firing very poorly. It might have fouled it out a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and move the truck and get this out on the road and see what it does. All right, we've been in here and done this plenty of times before. I've got a good feeling about this because it seems like it's behaving quite well. So let's see what we got. All right, let's see what she's got. Talking about, baby. Just running like a champ. No misses at all. Oh, baby. When it's just partial throttle and you're starting to get it under a little bit of load, that's where that spark really started to break down, when it was probably just arcing. And then the worse it got, it was just totally dropping the cylinder all the time. But the thing that is kind of interesting is that typically when it was dropping under partial throttle and you floored it, it would kick in and go. I think number 8 probably was fine all along, but that number 4 cylinder was dropping, and that was probably just getting masked whenever all the other cylinders kicked in. This is a nice little treat after 5-6 weeks of being in lockdown. Definitely going to tackle that low coolant sensor because I still have the low coolant light. Gotten another new light now, an ABS in op. That plug is probably a little bit jacked on cylinder 4. I could probably replace that spark plug. I did replace them all as part of trying to find this problem. But since that one has been so fouled out and it probably wouldn't hurt to go ahead and replace it. Man, oh man, oh man, I am ecstatic, as you could see. Now she's running strong again, still looking good. Like I said, still got plenty of things to do. At least as far as this issue is concerned, we got rid of the miss. What did we do along the way? We put in spark plugs. We put in an OptiSpark. We put in new fuel injectors. We put in a lot, like 3 or 4 new sensors for the air and temperature and all of that that we could get to. Those aren't bad things. Like I say, 26-year-old car, it doesn't hurt to have some of those things being swapped out. Some of them may last forever, but it's not, there's no damage done by replacing them, so I'm happy with all that. Finally taking care of our idle problems, our miss under acceleration. Thank you for all the comments that you guys have been dropping, because from the get-go, a lot of you have been saying plug wires, plug wires, plug wires. That's the lesson to yourself. Make sure that when you replace that OptiSpark and those spark plugs, just go ahead and do the wires. None of it is easy. It's never easier to go back and do it multiple times. But that's gonna be a wrap for this video. Thank you guys for watching. If you like the F-body LT1 Trans Am videos, I'll keep trying to put some content out there for you periodically on this. Next one, like I say, will be for the diagnostic control adapter. But anyway, thanks for watching. You guys. Okay, hold the press. Not so fast. How can this happen? How can it be? I drove that thing like 6 miles yesterday and it performed flawlessly. And then today, right after I finished editing this video, I jumped in the car to come across town, and as soon as I made the turn, it completely died. After a lot of cranking, I was able to start it up on its 1 or 2 cylinders and limp it all the way back to the apartment. I don't even know how I can go from such a high of happiness yesterday driving that thing and having it not a glitch, not a thing wrong with it, to hopping in it today and having it just be as bad as it's ever been. I don't understand it. Welcome to working on old cars. We will make this one a wrap for now. I don't know what's next for it. Comment below if you have any thoughts on what might be happening, what I might need to look at next. You guys were dead on the plug wires, but I don't know what to go after on this one. I'm gonna have to give some thought, do some research, and I'll look for your comments. But again, thanks for watching. We'll get there eventually. I'm glad you got to watch me do my plug wires. That's it, I'm out.